What if the answer you are desperately searching for is not hiding in your thoughts, but in the silence you are avoiding? Have you ever noticed how your mind can lock onto a single question, looping it over and over, demanding a resolution that never comes? You ask yourself why something happened, or what you could have done differently, or how you will survive. What comes next? You replay the same memories, hoping the outcome of your thoughts will miraculously change. If you have ever felt stuck, anxious, or emotionally exhausted by the sheer noise inside your own head, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see your own mind forever. Most people do not realize that overanalyzing a painful situation is not actually processing it. It is simply a way of holding on to the pain. We falsely believe that if we just think about it from one more angle, if we just dissect that past conversation one more time, we will finally find relief. But the relief never arrives. Instead, the question itself becomes a heavy, invisible chain. In Buddhist thought, this endless mental looping is a profound form of attachment. We attach ourselves to the need for certainty, the desperate desire for closure, or the illusion that we can control reality by understanding it perfectly. Buddhism reminds us that suffering often arises not from our circumstances, but from our refusal to accept things as they are. True peace does not come from answering every question your mind throws at you. It comes from learning how to observe a thought without letting it command your spirit. Imagine your mind as an open, vast sky and your thoughts as passing clouds. Most thoughts are light, drifting by without a second glance. But this endless question, this looping anxiety, is like a dark, heavy storm cloud. When you obsess over the question, you are essentially trying to grab that storm cloud with your bare hands. You try to wrestle it, squeeze it, and force it out of the sky. But you cannot fight a cloud. The more you struggle with it, the more you are drenched in its rain. The more you fight the thought, the more power you give it. Think about your own life. Are you carrying a question about someone who walked away? Are you replaying a moment of failure, constantly asking how you could have been so blind? These looping thoughts do not protect you. They only steal your present moment. They take you out of the life you are living and trap you in a reality that no longer exists, or one that has not even happened yet. Ask yourself right now, is this repeating thought bringing you peace, or is it feeding your fear? Pause. Breathe. Let that sink in. You do not have to answer the question right now. You only have to notice that it is there. Observe the thought without following it down the dark hallway of your mind. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You can look at the storm without becoming the storm. The freedom you seek is not waiting at the end of a perfect explanation. It is found in the moment you decide to stop arguing with the cloud and simply let the wind carry it away. But letting go of the need to solve everything is only the first step, because beneath every looping thought is a deeper illusion waiting to be understood. 2. The illusion that thinking is solving. What if the harder you try to figure it out, the further you push peace away? Here is a truth that few people want to face. Your mind cannot think its way out of emotional pain. We live in a world that deeply rewards logic. We are taught that every problem is just a puzzle waiting to be solved. So, when life hands us a heavy, uncomfortable emotion, when someone rejects us, when a secure plan collapses, or when a sudden wave of anxiety washes over us, we immediately assign our mind the impossible task of fixing it. We believe that if we can just build a perfectly logical explanation for our suffering, the suffering will vanish. We dissect every single word of a fading relationship. We replay the final moments of a failure, looking for the exact second things went wrong. We try to guess the hidden motives of those who ignored us. We convince ourselves that this relentless thinking is productive. We call it seeking closure. But in reality, rumination is not resolution. It is a trap. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the mind is a beautiful tool, but a terrible master. There is a profound difference between mindful awareness and anxious rumination. Awareness sees the pain, feels its weight, and silently acknowledges, "I am hurting." Rumination grabs the pain, shakes it, and demands, "Why is this happening? How do I stop it? Whose fault is it?" In Buddhist thought, we understand that trying to cure an emotional wound with an overactive intellect is like trying to extinguish a fire by throwing dry branches into the flames. The mind generates more questions, the questions generate more fear, and the fire only grows taller. Imagine a traveler walking barefoot through a dense forest. Suddenly, they step on a sharp thorn. Instead of stopping, sitting down on the earth, and gently pulling the thorn out, they become consumed with an urgent need to understand the event. They stand there, fiercely examining the path. They demand to know what kind of bush dropped the thorn. They replay their last 3 steps, wondering if they should have walked slightly to the left. They scream at the sky, asking why the forest is so unfair. While they are busy interrogating the universe, the thorn remains deeply buried in their foot. They are so desperate to solve the situation that they completely forget to tend to the actual wound. How often do you do this with your own life? When you are hurt by unfair criticism, when you are left behind by someone you loved, or when you feel the crushing weight of not being where you want to be, do you stop and tend to your spirit, or do you become a detective of your own misery? You think that by finding the exact reason why something happened, you will finally find relief. But understanding the thorn does not remove it. Think about your own life. What are you still endlessly trying to figure out? What past conversation are you still trying to rewrite in your head? Ask yourself, are you actually trying to heal, or are you just trying to control the uncontrollable? You do not need to understand every detail of your suffering in order to let it go. You do not need a final confession, a perfect apology, or a flawless timeline to be free. Stop trying to force the door of logic open when the room behind it is empty. Breathe. Notice the desperate urge your mind has to solve the unsolvable. Pause and realize that you do not have to participate in this internal argument. Let the urge to figure it all out rise, and simply watch it fall. Because peace is not a puzzle you put together piece by piece. It is the deep, quiet space you enter when you finally drop the pieces on the floor. But releasing the need to solve everything is only the beginning. When the mind cannot solve the puzzle, it often tries to take over in a much more exhausting way. And this is where the next truth begins. What if the voice inside your head is not trying to protect you, but is actually keeping you a prisoner? Here is the truth few people want to face. When you allow a single, unanswered question to loop endlessly in your mind, it stops being just a thought. It becomes a commander. At first, the thought is just a quiet whisper. It asks, "Why did they ignore me?" Or "Will I ever be enough?" Or "What if everything falls apart?" But when you cannot find a satisfying answer, the thought grows louder. Soon, it starts giving orders. It wakes you up in the middle of the night and demands that you worry. It orders you to check your phone one more time. It commands you to shrink yourself, to stay quiet, or to build walls to keep others out. You no longer simply have a thought. The thought has you. Buddhism teaches a profound lesson about the nature of the mind. You are the sky, and your thoughts are merely the weather. But when we are trapped in an emotional loop, we forget this entirely. We begin to identify completely with the storm. We believe, to this. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is learning to step back and observe the mind without blindly following its frantic orders. Imagine you are the captain of a small boat moving through rough water. The journey is difficult, but you are capable. Suddenly, a frightened passenger runs up to the wheel. This passenger is terrified of the dark, uncertain water. They begin shouting instructions, grabbing the wheel, and demanding that you steer the boat into the dangerous rocky shoreline just to escape the open sea. If you believe this passenger is the true captain, you will obey. You will panic, steer off course, and crash the boat. But if you remember who you are, you can look at the terrified passenger with calm compassion. You can hear their shouting, acknowledge their deep fear, and then gently keep your own hands on the wheel. The frightened passenger is that relentless, looping question in your mind. It shouts because it is afraid of the unknown. Think about your own life. How many days have been ruined by a thought that demanded your complete obedience? How many times have you backed away from an opportunity, avoided an honest conversation, or completely shut down emotionally simply because a looping thought ordered you to panic? You feel emotionally exhausted because you are constantly taking orders from a phantom. Ask yourself, who is actually steering the boat of your life today? Are you living from a place of quiet presence, or are you silently following the commands of a fear you have not yet faced? You are not powerless. You do not have to obey every thought that echoes in your mind. Pause, breathe, step back from the wheel. The next time that familiar, heavy question arises, do not fight it. Do not argue with the commander, but do not take its orders either. Let the thought stand in the room, but do not give it a chair at the head of your table. Observe it as a passing visitor, not a permanent ruler. You do not have to act on every anxious impulse. You do not have to surrender your peace just because your mind is loud. Because reclaiming your mind is not about silencing the noise entirely. It is about learning to hear the noise without letting it dictate your direction. And this is where the power of slowing down becomes your greatest defense. 4. The Buddhist wisdom of the sacred pause. What if the most powerful action you can take, when everything feels like it is falling apart, is to do absolutely nothing? Here is the truth about our deepest emotional wounds. When a heavy, familiar pain strikes, when someone ignores your message, when you feel the sudden sting of rejection, or when the sudden fear of the future crashes over you, your mind creates a massive sense of urgency. You feel an overwhelming, almost physical pressure to react. You want to send a desperate text. You want to justify yourself. You want to fix the problem instantly, or build a heavy wall and hide behind it. You believe that if you just act quickly enough, you can outrun the discomfort. But this urgency is often just fear in disguise. Buddhism teaches that our greatest suffering does not usually come from the initial pain of an event. It comes from our blind, automatic reaction to it. In Buddhist thought, there is a profound practice known simply as the pause. It is the tiny, quiet space between a trigger and your response. This is where true emotional freedom lives. Mindfulness is not the magical absence of difficult emotions. It is the ability to feel a sudden rush of anger, grief, or anxiety, and choose not to be swept away by its violent current. Imagine holding a glass of dark, muddy water in your hands. The mud represents your looping thoughts, your frantic anxiety, and your urgent desire to fix your situation right now. Because you hate the sight of the mud, you shake the glass violently, trying to force the water to become clear. You think that by moving faster, thinking harder, and doing more, you can clean the water. But the more you shake it, the cloudier it becomes. You cannot force clarity through frantic movement. The only way the water will ever clear is if you gently set the glass down on a quiet table, step back, and wait. You must give the dirt time to settle on its own. Think about your own life. How many times have you made a painful situation worse because you refused to let the mud settle? How many nights of sleep have you lost because you demanded immediate answers from someone who was not ready to give them? How many times have you exhausted yourself trying to force a door open simply because you could not stand the discomfort of standing in the hallway? Ask yourself, what would happen if, the next time you felt that familiar wave of panic or anger, You did not immediately jump into action. What are you afraid will happen if you simply do nothing? You do not have to solve an emotion the exact second it arrives. The next time your mind demands an immediate reaction, try this. Stop, breathe, take one slow, deliberate breath. Do not reach for your phone. Do not speak. Do not try to fix anything. Give yourself the silent gift of the sacred pause. Let the heavy feeling rise, peak, and begin to fall, all without your interference. Set the glass down. Because clarity does not come from fighting the mud. It comes from making peace with the waiting and trusting the stillness. But holding that stillness can be uncomfortable when your mind is so used to fighting. And this is where we must learn a new way to look at the rushing current of our own thoughts. 5. Watching the river without diving in. What if your exhaustion is not coming from the thoughts themselves, but from how eagerly you are drowning in them? Here is a truth that can change the way you experience your own mind. When an anxious thought or a painful memory surfaces, like the fear of not being good enough, the sting of being ignored, or the heavy weight of feeling behind in life, most of us do not simply experience it. We merge with it. We do not just feel the anxiety, we become the anxiety. We follow the thought down every dark path it creates, living out imaginary disasters and replaying past hurts as if they are happening in the present moment. We believe that to understand our pain, we must be consumed by it. In Buddhist thought, one of the most vital lessons is the practice of non-attachment. This does not mean becoming cold or unfeeling. It means understanding the impermanence of the mind. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that thoughts and emotions are natural events. They arise, they stay for a while, and they pass away. Your suffering begins the moment you decide to hold on to them, to claim them as your absolute truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the silent observer of your thoughts. Imagine you are sitting on the solid, quiet bank of a fast-moving river. The water is rough, churning with heavy currents and floating debris. This river is your mind, and the water rushing past is the endless stream of your thoughts, memories, and questions. Most of us, when we see a frightening piece of debris floating toward us, a thought of failure, a memory of rejection, or a sudden wave of panic, do something incredibly destructive. We jump into the freezing, violent water to wrestle with it. We dive into the current to fight the debris, trying to push it under the water or drag it to the shore. Suddenly, we are tumbling downstream. We are exhausted, choking on the water, fighting a current we can never defeat. Think about your own life. How often do you dive into the water when a conversation ends poorly and a sudden spike of insecurity hits? Do you simply notice the insecurity, or do you dive in and start drowning in a sea of past rejections? When you feel the crushing pressure of your daily obligations, do you stay on the shore, or do you jump in and let the fear of the future drag you under? Ask yourself right now, are you sitting on the bank of your mind, or are you drowning in its river? What specific thought keeps pulling you into the water? You do not have to swim after every thought that catches your attention. Pause, breathe, stay on the bank. The next time a heavy, painful question floats into your mind, do not jump in. You do not have to fight the current. Just watch the thought arrive. Acknowledge its presence. Let the water be rough. Let the thought float past. Watch it enter your vision, and quietly watch it float away. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity, because true peace does not require you to stop the river from flowing. It only requires you to keep your feet firmly planted on the solid ground of the present moment. But staying on the bank is incredibly difficult when the questions floating by feel too important to ignore, and this is where we must face the hardest truth about seeking closure. 6. Making peace with unanswered questions. What if the closure you are desperately waiting for is the very thing keeping you trapped. Here is a truth that is incredibly difficult to accept. Some questions will never get an answer. We spend years holding out for an apology that is never going to come. We replay the fading memories of a broken relationship, demanding to know exactly why their feelings changed. We analyze our past failures, trying to find the exact reason why our hardest efforts were not enough. We tell ourselves that we just need closure. We believe that we cannot possibly move forward until the story makes perfect sense. But waiting for life to make sense is a painful way to live. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that life is not obligated to give us a neat and tidy ending. The desire for absolute certainty is just another form of profound attachment. We suffer because we demand that reality matches our expectations. In Buddhism, true acceptance means surrendering the desperate need to know why. It means acknowledging that tying our inner peace to another person's explanation or to a perfect resolution is a recipe for endless suffering. Imagine you are walking down a long, beautiful hallway. The hall is lined with open doors, each leading to a new experience, a new connection, a new sunrise. But halfway down the hall, you find a single, heavy, locked door. Instead of accepting that it is locked and continuing your journey, you stop. You begin to knock. When no one answers, you knock harder. You press your ear against the cold wood, begging for an explanation. You demand to know why you are not allowed inside. Hours turn into days. Days turn into years. You become so utterly consumed by the locked door that you completely ignore the warmth and light pouring out of all the open doors behind you. This is exactly what happens when you refuse to accept an unanswered question, when you obsess over why you were passed over for an opportunity, when you continuously analyze why a friend suddenly walked away without a word, when you refuse to forgive yourself for a mistake because you cannot figure out why you made it in the first place. You are standing in the hallway of your own beautiful life, pounding your fists against a door that is permanently closed. Think about your own life. What locked door are you still standing in front of? What apology are you secretly still waiting for? Ask yourself, are you letting the absence of one answer prevent you from living the rest of your life? You do not need their explanation to heal. You do not need the universe to hand you a flawless reason for your pain. You can give yourself the closure you seek simply by choosing to walk away. Pause, breathe, stop knocking on the wood. Let the mystery remain a mystery. You do not have to force an ending to a chapter that is already over. Do your part, then release the outcome. Turn around and look at the open doors waiting for you. Because true freedom is not found in having all the answers. It is found in realizing that you can be completely whole without them. But stepping away from the locked door requires you to bring your focus back to the only place where life actually happens. And this is where the hardest work truly begins. 7. Reclaiming your presence from the noise. What if your actual life is quietly passing you by, while you are wandering lost in the maze of your own mind? Here is a painful truth about our modern existence. Most of us are rarely where our bodies are. We spend our days physically standing in one place, while mentally living in a completely different timeline. We sit at the dinner table with our family, but our mind is completely consumed by a stressful conversation from yesterday. We lie in a warm, quiet bed, but mentally we are fighting a phantom battle about tomorrow. We walk through the world, but we do not actually see it, because the noise inside our head is so incredibly loud. We convince ourselves that we are just planning, or preparing, or processing, but in reality, we are abandoning our present life to chase ghosts. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the present moment is the only place where life actually exists. The past is nothing more than a memory, fading and unreliable. The future is an illusion, a projection of our current fears. But the mind loves to pull us away from the now. In Buddhist thought, the undisciplined mind swings wildly from regret about yesterday to terror about tomorrow. We suffer because we refuse to simply be where we are. Peace cannot breathe in the past, and it cannot survive in the future. It only exists right here. Imagine you are sitting on a comfortable bench in the middle of a stunning, peaceful garden. The sun is warm, the trees are swaying, and the air is completely still. But you are sitting there wearing a thick, dark blindfold and heavy headphones that are blasting the terrifying sounds of a violent thunderstorm. You are shaking, you are terrified, you feel cold. You are constantly bracing yourself for the next strike of lightning. You are convinced you are in immense danger because the storm is all you can hear. You are suffering terribly. But the storm is entirely artificial. It is a recording playing on a loop. If you would only reach up, take off the headphones, and remove the blindfold, you would immediately realize that you have been sitting in a quiet, safe garden the entire time. Your looping, unanswerable questions are the blindfold. Your endless anxiety is the recording of the storm. Think about your own life. How many beautiful, simple moments have you missed because you were too busy replaying a mistake in your head? How many quiet mornings have been ruined by an imaginary argument with someone who is not even in the room? Ask yourself, where is your mind right now? Are you actually here, or are you wandering through the shadows of yesterday? What imaginary storm are you letting blind you to the quiet safety of this exact moment? You do not have to live inside the noise. Pause, breathe, take off the headphones. Notice the physical weight of your body in the chair. Listen to the actual sounds in the room around you. Feel the air moving in and out of your chest. When your mind inevitably tries to pull you back into the storm, gently bring your focus back to the physical world. Do not judge yourself for wandering. Just quietly return to the garden. Because true peace is not found by rewriting your past or perfectly controlling your future. It is found by fully occupying the only moment that actually belongs to you. But coming back to the present requires us to consciously loosen our grip on the thoughts we have carried for so long. And this is where we must discover the gentle art of release. 8. The gentle art of releasing the loop. What if letting go does not mean erasing a painful memory, but simply taking your hands off the rope? Here is the truth about trying to stop your own mind. When we finally realize a thought is hurting us, our first instinct is to declare war on it. We tell ourselves, I have to stop thinking about this. We try to force the anxiety out of our heads. We try to aggressively banish the memories of the person who walked away or the mistake we made last year. But forcing the mind to stop thinking about something only guarantees that you will think about it more. You cannot fight a shadow by attacking the wall. Buddhist wisdom teaches that resistance creates suffering. When you aggressively try to push a thought away, you are still giving it your energy. You are still deeply engaged in a relationship with the very thing you want to escape. In Buddhist practice, letting go is never an act of violence or force. It is an act of gentle surrender. It is not about destroying the thought. It is simply about uncurling your fingers. Imagine you are holding tightly to a heavy, thick rope. At the other end of the rope is a massive, panicked, wild horse, pulling aggressively in the opposite direction. This horse is your looping question, your overthinking, your desperate need for control. Because you refuse to let go, you are being dragged through the dirt. You are bruised and exhausted. You believe that you have to pull harder, that you have to somehow overpower the horse and win the tug of war to finally find peace. Your hands are bleeding, your spirit is burning, but you can never overpower it. The only way to stop the pain is not to defeat the horse. It is to simply open your hands and let the rope drop to the earth. Think about your own life. How much of your daily exhaustion comes from fighting a relentless tug-of-war with your own mind? You try to force yourself to stop caring about someone who ignored you. You try to wrestle your fear of the future into submission. You fight the emotional loop so intensely that the fight itself becomes the new loop. Ask yourself right now, how tightly are you gripping the rope? Is your desperate refusal to drop the argument with your own mind causing you more pain than the original thought? You do not have to win the fight. You only have to stop participating in it. Pause, breathe, look at your own hands. The next time that familiar, heavy question arrives, do not try to shove it out of your mind. Do not pick up the rope. Let the thought enter the room, but do not engage in a battle with it. Let the wild horse run in the distance, but do not tie yourself to it. Observe the thought without following it, because true letting go is not an aggressive action you take. It is the quiet absence of holding on. But when you finally drop the rope and the exhausting tug-of-war ends, you are suddenly left in a quiet space that can feel unfamiliar, silent, and entirely vast. And this is where the final transformation begins. 9. Stepping into the quiet space of true freedom. What if the silence you have been running from is the exact place where your healing begins? We began this journey by looking at the heavy, invisible chain of an endless question. We talked about the trap of overthinking, the illusion that your mind could solve an emotional wound with frantic logic, and the exhausting habit of letting an anxious thought become your absolute commander. We looked at the heavy locked doors we constantly pound our fists against, and the violent river of thoughts we so eagerly dive into. But now, you stand in a different space. You now see the profound truth that Buddhist wisdom has taught for centuries. Peace is not the absence of the storm. Peace is the quiet realization that you do not have to be the storm. The relief you have been desperately searching for is not hiding at the bottom of a perfectly analyzed memory. It is not waiting for you in the form of an apology from someone who walked away. The relief is in the pause. The relief is in your quiet, courageous decision to let the mind be loud without taking its orders. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and instead of instantly picking up the heavy weight of your unanswered questions, you simply leave them on the floor. Imagine feeling the familiar spike of anxiety or the sting of an old rejection, and instead of diving into the current, you simply watch it float by. Imagine the deep, beautiful relief of finally dropping the rope. This is what true non-attachment looks like. It is not a cold detachment from the world. It is the highest form of self-respect. It is the absolute refusal to let a passing thought steal the only real life you have this exact moment, right here, right now. Think about the person you were when that looping question first took hold of your mind. You were so incredibly tired. You were carrying the impossible burden of trying to control the uncontrollable, trying to force reality to hand you closure. But you do not have to be that person anymore. You have learned the power of the sacred pause. You have realized that you are the vast, open sky, and these heavy, commanding thoughts are just passing clouds. The truth is, the storm will probably come again. The heavy questions will occasionally float down the river. The frightened passenger in the boat of your mind will sometimes panic and try to grab the wheel, but you know better now. You know you do not have to obey. You know you do not have to dive in and drown. You know you can stay in the quiet garden of the present moment. Ask yourself one final time, are you ready to stop fighting the noise and finally let the silence in? Take one deep, slow breath. Feel the solid ground beneath you. You have done enough thinking. You have fought enough battles in the shadows of your own mind. It is time to rest. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let go now.